The horizon over an American air base in Jordan's eastern desert rips open, a ballistic warhead coming down at more than a mile a second, and the flight line erupts in fire. Iran's missiles just beat the Patriot shield, the backbone of American air and missile defense, and the 3 American soldiers killed in the strike on July 17, 2026 are air defense soldiers, the shield's own people. In the shelters, airmen feel the concrete jump before the roar reaches them, and the sirens are still climbing to full wail as smoke rolls over the ramp. 10 days, 6 Iranian attack waves, more than 30 inbound weapons destroyed in the sky over this base. The defense was nearly perfect, and nearly was not enough. Welcome back to Defense Declassified. The target sits at a desert oasis roughly 100 kilometers east of Amman, one of the most important American air hubs in the Middle East, and home to a fighter wing that carries the bloodline of the Tuskegee Airmen of World War II. Between July 9th and July 19th, Iran threw 6 separate attack waves at American forces in Jordan, ballistic missiles paired with one-way attack drones, a retaliation campaign Tehran branded with a name that translates to victory. This is the reconstruction of that 10-day air defense duel, the salvo that finally broke through, and the question that outlasts the fires. What good is a shield that wins 33 times if the other side only needs it to lose once? For more reconstructions from inside the world's most dangerous air war, subscribe. Start with the prize. In peacetime, this was a Royal Jordanian Air Force station, home field for Jordan's F-16 squadrons, and Jordanian F-16s of the 1st, 2nd, and 6th squadrons still defend their own sky from its runways. The war turned it into the anchor of American air power on the conflict's western flank. It hosts the 332nd Air Expeditionary Wing, heir to the red tails of World War II. On its ramps in the summer of 2026 stood F-15E Strike Eagles, 2-seat strike fighters that haul up to 11 tons of ordnance, MQ-9 Reaper drones, and rotating detachments of F-35A stealth fighters. One open-source satellite analysis from February claimed more than 60 American jets crowded onto the ramp at the surge's peak, 30 of them F-35s. The Pentagon has never confirmed that count. Confirmed or not, both sides understood what this patch of desert was worth. Guarding it stood the shield, the MIM-104 Patriot, the United States Army's frontline air and missile defense system. A Patriot battery is a ring of machines around a single phased array radar, an eye that picks warheads out of the sky at ranges past 100 kilometers and feeds firing solutions to launchers loaded with hit-to-kill interceptors. Those interceptors carry no heavy warhead of their own. They kill a ballistic missile by ramming it, metal on metal, at a closing speed of miles per second. Each round costs roughly $4 million. The soldiers who crew them here deployed from the 10th Army Air and Missile Defense Command forward from Ansbach, Germany. Among them, 1st Battalion, 57th Air Defense Artillery. They were not guarding a quiet theater. The United States and Iran had been at war since February 28, 2026, and by mid-July, more than 400 American troops had been wounded across the region. An interim truce had wobbled through early summer. On July 8th, it collapsed. Inside Iran, the Revolutionary Guard assembled its answer, coordinated strike waves against American bases in Jordan, Kuwait, Bahrain, and the desert garrison at Al-Tanf in Syria. State media branded the campaign with a name that means victory, and the heaviest blows were aimed at the base at the Oasis. The first wave came on July 9th. 10 ballistic missiles, fired from launch fields roughly 1,000 kilometers to the east. A flight measured in minutes, not hours. For the crews on the ground, that flight time is the entire battle. The radar catches the tracks as they climb over the horizon. The fire control computers sort live warheads from tumbling boosters, and a battery commander has seconds to commit rounds before the intercept window closes. Sirens, canister covers blowing clear, interceptors climbing on pillars of flame. 8 of the 10 inbound missiles were destroyed short of the base, and no casualties or damage were reported on the ground. 4 days later, Iran probed again, and the batteries scored 4 intercepts. On July 16th, 8 more. Analysts reading that rhythm saw something colder than a failed bombardment. Every salvo forced the defenders to spend interceptors at millions of dollars a round against missiles Iran builds by the hundred. You do not have to outshoot a Patriot battery. You can bleed it or you can empty it. Then came July 17th. This salvo was built differently. One-way attack drones of the Shahed-type, propeller-driven, slow, hours in the air, and cheap enough that 100 of them can cost less than a single Patriot round. They arrived paired with ballistic missiles. The textbook saturation play air defense officers have wargamed for a decade. Clutter the radar picture with slow threats, force the launchers to commit, and put fast warheads onto the same clock. Which missiles Iran fired in that attack has never been officially identified. Analysts speculate the newest solid-fuel designs with maneuvering warheads. Tehran will not say, and neither will the Pentagon. What is documented is the score. 3 inbound weapons were intercepted. It was not enough. At least one got through, and the base was hit. The strike put the base into a Central Command statement only a few lines long. 2 American service members killed in action, 1 missing, 4 wounded and medically evacuated. All 4 later released from care. It was the deadliest single Iranian strike on American forces of the entire war. Tehran claimed far more. State media announced refueling aircraft and fighter jets destroyed on the ground, and no independent confirmation of a single aircraft loss has surfaced. Within hours, viral clips claim to show Patriot interceptors failing over Jordan. The Pentagon has released nothing about how the shield performed on July 17th and what happened inside the engagement. A saturated radar picture, an empty launcher, a warhead maneuvering through the intercept window is a question the Army keeps sealed to this day. What the record does show is that the duel did not pause. 24 hours later, Iran fired again at the same base and 10 missiles were intercepted, the cleanest single-wave score of the campaign. The shield, whatever had been torn the day before, was still killing. And on July 19th came a 6th wave. This one reported far to the south near the port of Aqaba, where the Navy joined the fight, American Aegis missile defense and Israeli systems engaging together. On July 20th and 21st, the Pentagon released the names. Private Isabella Gonzales, 19 years old, of Carrollton, Texas, 10th Army Air and Missile Defense Command. She died on July 17th. First Lieutenant Tyler James Feehan, 25, of Hawaii. He died the next day. Sergeant Angel Rampersad, 28, of Ozone Park, New York, 1st Battalion, 57th Air Defense Artillery. He was carried as missing for 4 days until remains were recovered at the base and the Army recorded him as believed killed. 3 air defense soldiers lost at a base their branch of the Army exists to protect, where each of them stood when the barrage arrived, at a Patriot position or a counter-drone post, the Army has not said. The same week took a 4th soldier in the theater, Sergeant Michael Emmanuel Swinton, killed in Iraq on July 18th during the controlled detonation of a downed Iranian drone. Jordan has carried American grief like this before. In January 2024, at a small support outpost near the Syrian border called Tower 22, a one-way attack drone reached the sleeping quarters and killed 3 American soldiers. That attack came from an Iranian-backed militia, and Washington answered with strikes on the militias. This one came under Iran's own flag, claimed openly by the Revolutionary Guard, and the answer was scaled to match. Washington had already reimposed a naval blockade of Iranian ports on July 14th in the middle of the missile campaign. After the Jordan strike, Central Command flew its 8th, 9th, and 10th rounds of strikes into Iran on consecutive nights. Tehran's claim sheet grew in step. Rocket artillery launchers destroyed in Kuwait, aircraft burned in Jordan, none of it confirmed by anyone outside Iran. Run the 10-day ledger over the base, and the arithmetic explains the strategy. 8 intercepts, then 4, then 8, then 3, then 10. 33 confirmed kills by the defense against 1 breach. Almost any army in history would call that a victory. Air defense officers call it the problem because every one of those kills spent an interceptor that takes years to build against attacking weapons Iran can replace in weeks. The barrage that got through did not prove the Patriot obsolete, it proved something harder to fix. Even the best Shield America fields comes with a bottom to its magazine, and Iran had just spent 10 days measuring how deep that magazine goes. The batteries in the Jordanian desert are still standing watch tonight, and the waves have kept coming at Jordan, at Kuwait, at bases the length of the Gulf. The duel between the missile and the interceptor has become the central equation of this war. Cost against cost, stockpile against stockpile, and both sides now know the equation can be forced. The next move runs through the water. Since July 14th, American warships have held a ring around Iran's ports, a blockade aimed at the oil money that buys every missile in the salvo, and Tehran cannot leave it unanswered. How that blockade works, ship by ship, and how Iran plans to break it is a story of its own. Next time on Defense Declassified. Until then, stay sharp.